Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and we are here today with a review and recap for Game of Thrones Season 3, Episode 10, Mhysa. And of course, I am joined by my co-host Tyler. Hi, Tyler.
Hey, it's good to be talking about episode 10 again, right?
Yeah,
Always fun.
so first of all, sorry for the delay. This is coming out like 2 weeks after our
Oh,
episode
well.
9 episode. And that was not by design. We actually did record our episode 10 reaction, and I have to do a weird system right now between like two laptops. Well, my old laptop is the one I recorded the episode on, and it like crashed, and I have not been able to recover the footage. I was trying, and that's why we have this delay, but it's not working out. It's just not happening.
We're gonna
So
have to release it. We can really maybe if you ever recover it, we can
the
release it later. Release
the
release
lost tapes.
release the Game of Thrones season 3 episode 10 cut of this episode.
Yeah, so today we thought we'll just come back on and just do like a recap and review of the episode, give our thoughts and impressions about what happened, and then that'll give us something before we do our character ranking this weekend. So make sure you come back for that, because that live stream should be a lot of fun. On to the season finale. Tyler, what were your general feelings for the season finale as a third season finale compared to the others, and just how it wrapped up the stories of this season?
I thought it was a good finale. I've kind of like learned that with this show at least, the episode nines, the episodes before the finale are like the really big shocking ones, and then there's kind of have some levity in the final episodes. So I'm glad that we got a little bit more upbeat in the finale for season 3. At the end at least I should say, because the episode still kicked off with some depressing moments. The fallout of the episode previously, the Reigns of Castamere, where like everyone died. So still a little bit traumatized by that. Poor Rob, Talisa, Catelyn, and Rob's Rob's wolf. Wasn't a really big fan of them opening up the episode as we see the wolf head is on top of Robb Stark's body. That was another little traumatizing bit for me, as Rob was a character I really loved, and I guess that's the final time I'm ever going to see him. So that's like the lasting image in my brain. But I overall enjoyed most of the storylines in this episode, and I'm excited to see where they lead. I guess where they lead into for season 4.
So an interesting tidbit, I guess, is that season 3 and season 4 of the show are actually just book number 3 split in half. So
Oh, okay.
book number 3 just had so much going on that they split it into 2 separate seasons.
So I remember you've always talked about how George R. R. Martin is still working on certain books. So like, are you allowed to tell me like when is the cutoff? Like when does the books he's made stop with the seasons?
Mostly around season 5, like the end of season
Okay.
5.
Okay, so we still have at least like 2 seasons before you. I remember you've told me that it kind of goes off the rails a bit in later seasons. So I'm curious to see if there's going to be a sort of drop off, because I think these first few seasons have been really solid and really entertaining.
Well, we did open up season 3, episode 10 with Arya and the Hound outside of the Twins. We're still seeing Stark soldiers being massacred and
Death.
killed. And then the gruesome sight of Rob's body has been decapitated, and they have sewn on his direwolf's head to his body. They bring him out chanting King of the North, King of the North. And yeah, Arya once again so close, but ends up getting traumatized seeing her family's death.
And I was too. I was just as traumatized, if not more.
Ugh. But then we also see Arya a little bit later in the episode once more, as her and the Hound are on their way somewhere, seeing as he was taking her to her mother and brother. But they overhear some soldiers around a campfire talking about killing the Starks. One of them goes into some detail about the sewing process of putting that head on. And Arya is sick of it. So she hops on off that horse, tries to play innocent, flips a coin at the guy. And when he leans down to get it, she's stab, stab, stab.
Real quick stabs.
Kills him. The Hound luckily jumps up and takes care of the rest of them and helps her out.
You love to see it. You love to see it.
He's like, look, I don't care if you do that. Next time, just tell me when you're going to pull a stunt like that, please.
Let a man know before he has to get off his horse and start murdering people.
So that was one of our interesting tag teams of at least the second half of the season. But how did you feel about Arya's arc throughout the season? And I guess we can lump in Robb and Catelyn and their story this season.
Well, they're over, so I guess
it all ended kind of at the same place.
I mean, there's not really too much to say, I guess, about Robb and them's arc, because it's just definitively like done now. I mean, it was murdered. The arc was murdered. It's over. But as far as Arya goes, I thought that she had a lot of great growth in season 3. She's always been a character I've really enjoyed, but I think that she is probably going to flourish a bit more with the Hound, kind of almost being like a sort of mentor kind of character. Because it seems like they vibe really well together, just because they seem to have, I guess, some murderous tendencies. Although Arya's tendency to murder is much more for a cause. The Hound is just usually like a murder for hire kind of guy. He just loves to murder people, so he'll just murder anyone. That's why, he wasn't really disappointed or upset with Arya for murdering people. He just wanted to know ahead of time. So he's down to fight anybody, and I guess it'll also be good to see the Hound train her. I imagine that's probably where they're going to lead into this. I imagine he's probably going to train Arya, at least to some degree, just because why not? Especially when they're on this journey by themselves, I guess, to anywhere, because we don't really know where they're going, I guess. I think they bring a lot of entertainment to the show. They have a fun dynamic. I'm just curious where they're going to go for season 4, because it could go anywhere. I honestly have no clue where they're going to go. I think they're literally just going to roam the land. Most of her family's dead. I mean, she kind of only has Sansa, and I guess
she's
Bran
not going
and Rickon.
back there.
Yeah, Bran and Rickon are off doing their own thing as well, and Jon's
not
off
sure
doing
if
his
they're
thing.
even alive.
Well, that too. They're all just off doing other things.
The other people in that storyline, of course, were Walder Frey and Roose Bolton, who conspired with the Lannisters to execute this Red Wedding. And we learn that Walder Frey has now been named the Lord of River Run, and Roose Bolton is now the Warden of the North.
A mess.
Roose Bolton went from one of Robb's bannermen working with Robb to showing some sort of hospitality to Jaime and Brienne. And that seemed to be his turning point, where he also decided he was going to turn on the Starks.
He's a traitor.
Walder Frey is just an old slimy man through and through. So how did you feel about those two characters this last couple of episodes?
I mean, I definitely am not a fan. I think they're both horrible people, especially with the things that they've done, whether it be, the treachery as far as being a traitor to Robb Stark and getting them all killed, and his little line with the Lannisters send their regards. That was like, now I officially hate this man. I knew something was up, when he had chainmail underneath of his clothes, and then he, really stabbed the dagger deep into my heart as well when it comes to betraying me. Walder Frey is just gross. Like, I think he's just such a terrible person. I mean, we've seen that, and it's very evident in all the episodes we've seen him in so far, how terrible he is. And I guess he's being rewarded for being terrible. Hopefully he meets his demise sooner rather than later. I guess if I had to predict anywhere where something was going, I imagine that Arya would probably want to get revenge on him, since he, was behind killing a large portion of her family. I just don't know when that's going to come up. Hopefully sooner rather than later, though, because I really doubt that Walder Frey could put up much of a fight. I feel like Arya could still probably kill him at this point.
Even as small as she is, she can take that old man.
That's what I mean. Like, it doesn't seem like he has any sort of like fighting prowess or anything. So I feel like she could take him on at this point.
Well, it's particularly egregious because we hear a couple of stories. Bran tells the story of somebody who invites guests in for dinner and then kills them, and the gods don't like that. That's also messed up. The whole, breaking the whole custom of that. I think that's really messed up. Yeah, we hear Tywin try to justify himself, saying what's more noble about killing 1,000 on the battlefield rather than 12 at dinner. And you're like, sir, the 1,000 on the battlefield signed up and knew what they were going for. The ones at dinner thought that there was a code, and
Yeah,
also
there are rules.
there was a lot more than a dozen that got killed at that dinner. So
I say between the people inside and outside, absolutely.
we also see good old Ramsay, who we learn in episode 10 is in fact Roose Bolton's bastard son, the one that he sent to quote unquote take Winterfell back from Theon. We see that he has in fact castrated Theon.
Something like that.
And taunts him with a pork sausage.
I did think that was really funny. I can't deny. I can't lie. The face that he makes is what makes it so hilarious to me.
He like asks him. He's always wondered if you have phantom itch when they take off your member. He then goes up to Theon and psychologically tortures him a little bit more before physically beating him into renaming himself Reek. So apparently that is Theon's new persona with Ramsay. So how did you feel about the reveal that Ramsay was Roose Bolton's bastard and the new name of Reek for Theon and their story this season of torture?
Something like that, yeah. I don't know. I mean, Ramsay seems like a really terrible person from the tidbits that we have seen. I mean, we haven't really gotten too much of him as a character in itself, just because a lot of his storyline has just been him torturing him for Theon for the whole episode. Well, no, and most of the time we see him, he's just torturing Theon to the point where he's like literally cut off his member. So I don't know. I guess it sucks to be Theon. It's one of those things where I've it really sucks because like I don't like Theon in the sense that like he's like done so many terrible things over the past season or so where like I guess so I feel a little bit bad because in the beginning like I was okay with the torture and then it just continued to get worse and worse the way that he's being tortured and now he has like this whole other persona that he's been beaten into submission to agree to. I don't know if he's ever going to get out of it. I say that seemed to be the thing I'm concerned about. I guess we see that his sister Yara is going to come try and save the day. But I don't know how successful that's going to be. Not surprising that Ramsay is also terrible because his dad is also terrible.
It runs in the family.
Yeah, I guess it seems like it's a common thing in the show to have bastard children. It seems we've had a lot of bastards in the show so far between Jon and Gendry and Ramsay.
Well, this is our second Snow, our second bastard from the north, Ramsay.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, it would be fun if they ever meet each other. They'd be like, "I'm Ramsay Snow. Oh, I'm Jon Snow."
Well, you mentioned it just quickly, but we also see that Ramsay furthered the foolery and actually sent Theon's member to his father.
Yeah, the dick in the box.
With a taunting note saying, "Here's Theon's favorite toy. He cried when I took it away from him." Also a threat of like, tell your man to stand down and leave here, or I'll keep cutting off pieces of Theon and sending them to you. But
that's like a jigsaw move.
Yes. As we kind of learned with Balon Greyjoy, he doesn't really care. Says he's not a man anymore. He can't give me any ears, so I don't care about him. But Yara doesn't take the same approach and decides, screw you, Dad. I'm going to do the right thing and I'm going to go try to save my little brother. So she takes the best fighters and the fastest ships and is now headed out to try to save Theon. So how'd you feel about that scene?
I mean, I guess it's not surprising that Balon Greyjoy is a terrible father. He's kind of showcased how terrible of a father he is each time we've seen him talk about his children. And talk to his children, I should say. I mean, Yara, as far as a character that we've seen so far, I was actually kind of surprised that she's going to go out and save her brother. I mean, it seems like they weren't like super duper close. I guess it's the noble thing to do, so that's nice of her to try. For his sake, especially Theon's sake. Hopefully she succeeds. Otherwise, I guess he's just going to get chopped to bits little by little until there's nothing left of him.
Well, then, down in King's Landing, we saw the Lannisters getting news of Walder Frey completing the job and killing Robb Stark in this very awkward little small council meeting where Joffrey is just so gleeful, is telling them to instruct Walder Frey to send him Robb Stark's head so he could serve it to Sansa at his wedding.
The worst.
We see Grand Maester Pycelle just being an ass for no reason and dropping the thing on the floor to make Tyrion get it.
And
then
what?
Tyrion threatens Joffrey.
Perhaps you should speak to me more softly then. Monsters are dangerous, and just now kings are dying like flies.
I did love that line from Tyrion, and that was one of my favorite probably lines of his.
And that's when Master Pycelle is just so scandalized by Tyrion. Threatening the king and needing to be punished and apologize as Joffrey yells and screams, "I am the king! Listen to me, I'm the king!"
Just whines to everyone.
And Tywin says,
"Any man who must say, 'I am the king,' is no true king."
And that sparks a new tension in which Tywin quite literally sends Joffrey to bed.
I love it. He just sends him to bed.
He tells Grand Maester to send him some nightshade to knock him out.
Yeah, he's like, "I'm not even tired."
Yeah, so
send him to bed with no dinner either, right?
Yes, no dinner, no nothing. This is when we still like Tywin for the episode, and then that quickly changes as he gives his speech about killing Robb. And then gives his speech to Tyrion about Sansa and do put his family before his own needs, in which Tyrion asks him, excuse you, what have you ever done to put your family before your own name and pride? In which Tywin gets real scathing and says,
"The day that you were born, I wanted to carry you into the sea and let the waves wash you away. Instead, I let you live."
Whew, father of year material from Tywin Lannister.
Yeah, I mean, damn.
So how did you feel about that whole exchange with those characters?
Like you said, it kind of started off strong with Tywin, and we love when we love when anyone, I guess, shades Joffrey. But I mean,
yes,
his conversations, his points towards Joffrey was very entertaining. I think Tywin always has that fun gravitas and shade throwing, and that was on full display here. It's just when he starts to get really mean and malice towards his kids is always when it's kind of tough to listen to, especially because Tyrion doesn't deserve any of this. It seems like Tyrion's always just been treated terribly by Tywin, and for what reason? What is Tyrion can't help that he's small. I mean, it's not his fault.
Literally was born a dwarf, so his dad wanted to kill him.
yeah, what the hell? It's you gotta tell him that. The fact that not even just the fact that he thought that, but the fact that he straight up told him, "I wanted to throw you in the ocean." I mean, Jesus Christ.
And that's not the first time. Clearly, he's done it several times this season.
No, he's been treating him. He's been going off on all of his kids. Well, I guess Jaime not as much because he's been away.
But now we'll see.
Now Jaime's back to King's Landing, so I guess that's kind of nice. He's gonna probably get a stern talking to next season.
Well, we also see Tyrion and Sansa early in the episode, which we actually get a nice moment with Sansa. She's laughing. We're finally this season seeing Sansa get to laugh again. And then, unfortunately, we see her not laughing later in the episode when she's alerted of her family's fate. But we also see Shae in that first episode, or first scene, looking quite jealous. And then we see Varys approach Shae later on with a bag full of diamonds, trying to get her to leave King's Landing for what he says is the best thing for Tyrion, because she is a danger and distraction for him. But she refuses. She throws the diamonds down and says, if he wants me to leave, he'll have to tell me himself. So how did you feel about Shae this episode and Sansa?
I mean, I think Sansa's been one of the I guess most improved characters this season, I should say. I wasn't as big of a fan of her over the first season or two, but I mean, I think she's kind of come into her own. Thankfully, I think part of that is due to Shae kind of influencing her, and Shae's been such a fun character with a lot of personality, and I think some of that is rubbing off on Sansa, so that's a good thing. It just sucks that overall Sansa's life kind of sucks. so you kind of feel bad for her like a lot every time something goes wrong, whether it be being forced to marry Tyrion. She was being forced to marry Joffrey treats her terribly. Now like a large portion of her family's dead, and you don't
She
even
was
know where
so
the rest of her
excited to go
family is.
move to High Garden with
With
Loras, and
Loras,
before
yeah,
she
the
got
Loras stuff didn't
pulled
work
away
out.
from her.
I really feel for her as a character just because of like all the crap that's just thrown at her. It seems like continuously. It almost seems like it's never going to get better with her. And that's why I kind of feel bad. But she still like tries to at least be positive and have some personality and some good moments. So I guess I can content, I do think that's a really good thing for her. With Shae, I mean, it's interesting because she hasn't really been like too much of a factor in recent episodes as far as comparatively to before, but she has been kind of like in the background, kind of just now that she has this new role as like taking care of Sansa. I don't know what the relationship entails when it comes to her and Tyrion, because it is kind of like a liability, when it comes to, I guess, the greater good, as Varys is kind of trying to allude to by trying to buy her off so Tyrion doesn't get in trouble. I guess good for her for standing her ground and not wanting to leave Tyrion, because she clearly actually loves him. That I don't know what that's going to mean for Tyrion and I guess the rest of the group, because I imagine they can't keep it a secret forever.
Well, we did see one of the other Stark children this episode, or pureborn Stark children, in Bran Stark with Hodor, who we get a really endearing scene of him just yelling his name into a well.
I thought that was great. I mean, Hodor is such like a wholesome character. He's always like brings a smile to my face. Just him being like a fun, lovable kind of like oaf character.
Yeah. And that's when we hear that story. But shockingly, some storylines converge for just a moment.
Yeah, briefly.
They run into Samwell and Gilly, who are on their way to Castle Black. And that is when Samwell realizes he knows who they are, proves himself, and is like, oh, I'll do anything for you because your brother saved my life. And then Bran's like, yeah, take us beyond the wall. Samwell's like,
nope.
Well, hold up.
I just think of like the Meatloaf song, like I'd do anything for love, but I won't do that. Like
pretty much.
I'll do anything for you, but I won't go back to the wall.
Samwell does his part and leads them to the passage to get beyond the wall. And
they gave him some weapons.
Yes, he did. He gave him the dragon glass and told him that will kill White Walkers.
Yeah, see?
Oh, so we see that Tyler is ready for action in case a White Walker attack happens.
Yeah, I mean, it was in my bathroom, so I guess I've been expecting a White Walker to attack me while I'm like on the toilet or something, or taking a shower. So I'm ready whenever. If one wants to come by, let's see what happens, right?
Yes, they were sent off with their weapons, and now beyond the wall they go. So how did you feel about Bran's little sub-story this episode and then throughout the entire season?
As far as like the whole entire season, the storyline with him and Rickon and Osha, Jojen, all of them, it was probably my least favorite of all of the storylines. It just didn't move at a very reasonable pace, and I feel like they kind of really stretched it out for way too long. Hopefully it gets a bit better in future seasons, however long their journey goes on. But I think that it's going to lead to something much more interesting as they now have weapons and they're heading towards the wall. I think it's going to be a little bit better next season. At least I hope so.
Well then, speaking of Samwell and Gilly, after they leave Bran off at the wall, they actually do head back to Castle Black, where they meet up with Maester Aemon. First time we've seen him in a while, and he accepts that Gilly can stay there after he's very concerned, questioning Samwell if he remembers his oaths when he hears there's a child named Sam.
Yeah, that's why it made me laugh, because I mean it's unfortunate that you couldn't see that the people couldn't see my reaction to that, because I was literally like, how long did he think that Samwell was gone? If he thought he could make an entire child, because you got to think he hasn't been gone for at least 9 to 10 months. So it's like, how long do you think he's been gone?
We did hear Gilly named her kid Sam.
Yeah.
And then later in the episode, we see another reunion happen, and that is Jon, who is found and hunted down by Ygritte after he left her in episode 9. And she's not too happy, obviously.
No. I would say.
So he tries to convince her that I gotta go home. You know who I am. She tells him, "You know nothing, Jon Snow."
Love it. Love the catchphrase it seems to have become so far.
And he says, "Oh, I do know that I love you and you love me, but I gotta go." So as he's walking to get on his horse, one arrow, whack, gets him once. Then when he's running, jumps on the horse, whack, a second one in the leg. And as he's riding off, she gets a third one in just for good measure. As she's obviously hurt, she starts like tearing up. Didn't aim to kill him, but clearly wanted him to hurt pretty bad.
Yeah, 3 arrows in his body didn't look like it did him too well.
We see it didn't do him too well as he's like falling off the horse.
Yeah, he basically he was basically practically dead when he got there.
And if you would have saw the reaction, Tyler was so excited to see Pip for the first time.
I was literally like, okay. Like, that's cool, I guess.
But we see Pip and then Samwell come down, and yay, Samwell and Jon, the buddies are back together. So how did you feel about Samwell and Jon this episode and where their paths took them in season 3?
As far as Samwell goes, I feel like, I like Samwell and even Gilly. I think that they're both fun. But I'm surprised that Samuel even lived this long, to be honest. I feel like I thought he was a goner in the beginning of the season when it comes to that White Walker, and especially not even just the one that led into the finale of season 2 into season 3, but then we see him getting attacked by more in the first episode. I figured he was a goner, but
and then another one that he killed.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Somehow he's made it this far, and he actually he's killed some, and it looks like he's trying to at least be more formidable, maybe for Gilly's sake, I guess, and also I guess the kid that's named after him. It's not his kid, but I guess by proxy, he's the stepfather. I don't know. I don't know how it works in Game of Thrones world when it comes to adopting. I'm excited to see where he goes. It'll be interesting to see, I guess, now that he's back with Jon and Jon's back with the rest of the Night's Watch, where they're going to lead into. I guess they're all going to inevitably end up fighting White Walkers, because that seems to be something that's coming very rapidly. Hopefully Jon can heal up before that happens. And I don't know, I think we're going to end up seeing Ygritte and the rest of the wildlings very soon anyway. So I think that they're not done. I think we're going to see them again.
You don't think that breakup was for a final moment in their relationship?
I don't know. I do know that they're married in real life.
Yes.
I do know that. So good for them. It seems like they really did hit it off, because it seems like their chemistry was very strong on the screen and the episodes I've seen so far. But yeah, I think they're going to end up making it up. Kind of an abusive relationship, but I guess that's okay.
Well, then, we alluded to it earlier. For one just brief scene, we do see Jaime and Brienne, as well as Qyburn with them, arrive at King's Landing. Finally, she delivers him to King's Landing, and he's so rough for the wear that the normal people don't even know who the hell he is. They're like, get out the way, dirty man. Like,
that's one way to humble you, I guess.
So now, the whole thing was about keeping that promise that Jaime made to Brienne, but Catelyn is no longer here, and that's who she promised. But we do see just a brief moment of Jaime reuniting with his love, Cersei.
Yeah.
So how did you feel, since they didn't have much this episode, how did you feel about Brienne and Jaime and their story this season?
I thought it was probably one of my favorite ones, if I'm being honest. I think that both of them together made for a very interesting pairing, for better or for worse, I guess, because they definitely got on each other's nerves, but they did have some, I guess, more grounded moments, if you will, that I really enjoyed as well, especially when it comes to Jaime Lannister, because Jaime Lannister was kind of like a complete asshole for the first 2 seasons. And in season 3, it seems like he's really opened up and, kind of like literally dragged through the mud, loses a hand. And it seems like he's actually like a much more understandable character. He's definitely a character that I at least feel a little bit bad about when it comes to once we get an understanding of him as the Kingslayer and what comes with that kind of title that he's known for. And it seems like we see a lot more of his emotions open up. And that was kind of a surprise to me after how we see him portrayed in the first 2 seasons. So I like that that Brienne got him to open up in that way. But they also have some really badass moments as well along the way. You know, we saw Brienne fight a bear. That was probably one of the main surprise highlights for me, seeing Brienne would go toe-to-toe with a bear. But Brienne's awesome too. She's had some pretty bad circumstances too when it comes to like Renly dying, and I guess now Catelyn died. So she's not really had a great track record with the people that are employing her.
Every time she swears her sword to somebody, they end up dying.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like I guess peace be with whoever the next person is that hires Brienne, because they're not going to live much longer.
Yeah.
But I am excited to see where that goes, I guess. Well, I don't really care. I guess I shouldn't say I don't really care. But I didn't feel anything when Jaime and Cersei reunited, because it's like I don't know how to feel about this, because it's weird, yeah. but it's, I guess it's kind of nice because they're reuniting, but Cersei's still a terrible person. And Jaime's like still kind of a terrible person, but like he's a much more, better character now. So it's like, I don't know how to feel, especially because, there's still all that stuff with Bran. He pushed her out the window. And the fact he murdered a bunch of people in the characters early on. So I don't know. I guess it'll be interesting to see where that goes when it comes to, I guess, Cersei's maybe wedding to Loras. I feel like that's like
how Jaime's gonna react to that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, are they going to fight? Because Jaime doesn't have a hand anymore, so I don't know.
Loras is a good knight, so...
That's what I mean. We've seen him beat people before. I mean, he lost to Brienne.
Well, then we see Sir Davos still brushing up on those last-minute lessons and why the G is silent in night and all of that fun jazz from Shireen.
English. Gotta love it.
But then he kind of gets word about what Melisandre and Stannis' plan is, as Melisandre says, look, we threw in leeches, Robb died. See how that happens? But we need a much bigger sacrifice to get him to the throne. So... they're gonna kill Gendry.
Yikes.
Who's in a dungeon. And Davos is like, oh, no. This is horrible. Don't do it. Davos runs down, takes Gendry up out of that little thing, and puts him on a boat. Says,
you know how to swim? No. Don't fall out.
Great advice.
Davos actually confesses to Stannis that he set Gendry free because it was the right thing to do. Stannis is obviously angry and ready to sentence him to death before Davos shows him the letter in which Stannis is shook that Davos knows how to read.
Yeah, that was
shook.
That's true. I forgot about the shock value of it all.
But Melisandre comes in handy for Davos this time, and she grabs the scroll, throws it in the fire, and says, we can't kill him because he does have a part to play, because we do have to go north and fight these White Walkers. So Davos is spared.
Yay.
How did you feel about Davos, Gendry, Melisandre, and Stannis?
I mean, yay, Gendry gets to live, I guess. I mean... Poor guy got coaxed into like a very compromising position with Melisandre. So poor kid can't catch a break, but I guess this time he did, fortunately. It'll be interesting, I guess, to see how long it takes for him to get to the land. I don't know. He's on a boat somewhere and he can't swim, so hopefully, like he said, he doesn't fall off. Melisandre, I mean, she's such like a weird character in itself. I mean, I don't know. She's hard to read because like she has like her own kind of vibe to her that like it's just hard to describe her. She seems to have her own plans. I don't know if I don't know what her game plan is, I guess, as a whole when it comes to what she wants with Stannis being king. But Stannis, I mean, he's just a real piece of work. It seems like all the Baratheons are just really terrible except for Renly. Stannis is just like ready to just sacrifice his family on a whim. He already killed Renly. He's ready to kill Gendry, his other relative he just found out existed. I wouldn't want to be related to this guy. I mean, I don't want to be this guy. I don't want to be related to this guy. It seems like he'll just do whatever he can to try and be king. I don't know. I guess he has to keep resorting to magic because he lost it in the battles. I don't know. I wonder if this magic's ever going to run out or not, because it seems like it's just infinite. You just have to keep doing crazy stuff to get more magic stuff to happen. But I'm also wondering what's going to happen with the rest of those leeches, because it wasn't like it was just for Robb Stark, the stuff with the leeches. There were other people. So is that going to be influenced as well? Is it one of those things where it's like a Russian roulette kind of casino kind of thing, where I throw 5 leeches in the fire and like one of them may happen and not all of them?
No, and it's like the one we didn't want to happen, of course, is the one that happened.
Yeah, because Joffrey was one of them, wasn't it?
Yeah, Joffrey and Balon Greyjoy are the other two that she threw into the fire.
Yeah, well, I mean, it could. I don't know. I mean, those other two, I feel like definitely have something bad coming up their way, one way or another, sometime in the future.
But then we end the episode off with Daenerys. She is at the gates of Yunkai, and she has kind of summoned the people of Yunkai to come out after she sacked the city in episode 9. She's a little bit nervous that maybe they didn't want to be, as she says, conquered, but Sir Jorah Mormont says liberated. Soon they do start piling on out all of these people.
There's so many.
The whole city of Yunkai comes out of there.
Well, yeah, because you see so many pouring out as they keep panning over to the shot. So you see more and more people keep coming out. And then you really see the full scale and the full scope of how many people are in there when you see the overhead shot at the very end. Like, it's like so many people.
Well, first, the Unsullied are ready for some action.
Yeah, they're ready to just go to war. Yeah, not even just him, but like you even see Dario up there. Dario's up there. He just has his hand like right on his blade, ready to just go to town on anybody that does anything.
But she gives a speech to the people because Missandei kind of gives her an introduction, and she stops Missandei to give a speech to the people, telling them, I did not give you your freedom. I'm not the person who freed you. Your freedom is only yours. You own it, and it's yours for the taking now. So do with it as you'd like, basically. And then the crowd starts chanting Mhysa, Mhysa, which we learn means mother. And so, much to everybody's like nerves, Daenerys decides she's just going to go out and be a queen amongst the people and heads out and greets them and ends up like crowd surfing.
Yeah, they crowd surf her. That was really cool.
Put her up in the air and get that overhead shot of all of the people and then her 3 dragons flying overhead. And that is how we end the season. So once again, much like season 1 particularly, and partially season 2, we have like tragedy, particularly Stark tragedy in episode 9, and then episode 10 is like Daenerys.
Always.
Yay, moment for Daenerys.
Yeah, I guess I should just expect that from now on, right?
We have to lift your mood with her after this trauma.
Well, the thing is with her story, like I don't mind it, but her story is just so like off the path of all the other ones, at least for this point in time. So I guess I'm kind of okay with it being kind of like off the written path. It's just this fun side story that's going on while all the other stuff's going on.
So how did you feel about Daenerys? As this season, we see her travel to 2 different cities and liberate the slaves and free them from these 2 cities and pick up an army of Unsullied on the way. And she picks up Daario Naharis and the Second Sons along the way, and the love of all of these people she has freed, and Sir Barristan Selmy too. He came along on the way this season too.
He stopped the assassination attempt from that little magic girl that never was seen ever again.
Yes. So how do you feel about Daenerys' arc this season and where we ended up with her?
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was probably like one of my favorite arcs as well. I mean, I've loved to see the progression of Daenerys over these first 3 seasons. I think this is probably her best season yet so far. Although, like, arguably, I would say it's not hard to top that just because it's, it seems like each season she's getting better and better. And that's not to say, I mean, as a character and also just, her army, because she's full on liberated 2 different establishments. And I love that. I love that she's actually freeing people and kind of becoming like a queen. Well, she is a queen, but a queen and doing it right, I should say. She's liberating the people and giving them their freedom and she's not trying to like conquer. She's just trying to liberate, and just kind of, it seems like that seems to be her mission. She's just going to move from place to place, and if you want to come with me, you can come with me, but you don't have to. There's no obligation, and I kind of like that about her. And seeing her confidence grow in season 3, I thought was great as well, especially as she has like kind of like this big old ragtag group of people around her that she's assembled along with the Unsullied and all of them. You have Daru Naharis, you have Jorah, who's been there since day one. You have Missandei, Grey Worm, and Sir Barristan. So she's got quite a squad building up here. So they seem to have underestimated her this whole time, as we've seen so far in these first 3 seasons, where they kind of just ignored Daenerys and her storyline. I'm saying, ignore her storyline and the characters in the show.
Yeah.
They literally are just like, we'll deal with it later. Not important. And like, she's grown, she has 3 dragons. She has this giant army. And it seems like it's just, her power is quite literally growing each season as she's going towards the throne. And I have to wonder, like, how much longer are they going to be able to ignore her? Are they going to continue to ignore her? And she's just going to like swoop in when her dragons are huge, and she's going to have this massive army and just take everyone out?
Well, do you have any overall predictions as we look forward to season 4?
At least from what I can gather, I guess we have the weddings coming up, because you have the Joffrey and Sansa, and I guess Loras and Cersei. I guess we'll see if those happen.
Joffrey and Marjorie.
Right. Sorry. Yeah, I got them mixed up because I'm still thinking about
Tom Girl to this curve.
Yeah. Joffrey and Marjorie. I don't know if Olenna's going to let that happen. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I don't know. I mean, we'll see if Olenna will let that happen. I don't know. I guess those weddings are going to be a big thing. Tyrion will probably be there in some capacity, making jokes, which I look forward to. I think that Arya and the Hound are probably going to do something exciting. I feel like they're going to, wherever they end up going, I imagine it's going to be entertaining, just because they're both very cool characters that I love. I hope that maybe the Hound will give Arya some lessons, because he's quite a formidable fighter, and I feel like if you're going to learn how to fight, I feel like he's probably going to be a good teacher, especially since they seem to have kind of grown almost like a father-daughter kind of relationship, but like, they did start out that way. So I guess that's kind of fun, because like she wanted to like have him murdered like in the season. Now they're like a ragtag group. I guess Jon is going to recover. I figure that Jon's going to recover, and I figure he's probably going to end up making up with Ygritte at some point in time. I don't know when, but maybe next season, maybe like season 5. I know there's at least 8 seasons, so I can, if they're alive in season 8, maybe season 8, who knows. But I figure they'll make up at some shape or form somehow. I don't know. I'm trying to think of other storylines that I could predict something for, because some of them they're hard to predict because you don't really know where they're going to go.
Yeah, like Bran.
Yeah, Bran's storyline. I guess, like, will we see Rickon in his? Will he get a storyline in season 4? I don't know. I hope Walder Frey dies.
Out of all of it, here's what I hope is going to happen soon.
Yeah, I hope he's murdered and I hope he's murdered in like a very painful way for what he did. And same with Roose Bolton, I guess, as well. I guess Stannis is another prediction. I don't know. I feel like it's not going to work. I feel like he's just trying everything he can to just like cheat his way into being king, and it seems to just continue to backfire for him. And I figure it's just going to fail once again. Hopefully, he gets murdered too, I guess. And Melisandre.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and leave our faves and least faves, because we will be doing our entire 62 character countdown. Yeah. Our most characters yet in season 3.
Yeah, some of them I've forgotten about. Let's be real.
So that will be coming up this weekend. There will be a StreamYard link preview. So be on the lookout for that, and make sure you join us for that live stream. Also, if you enjoyed this video, click that like button down below and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on my latest videos, including each and every one of our Game of Thrones reactions. Tyler, do you want to let them know where to find you?
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube by searching up my name, and Twitter and Instagram at It's Tyler Calvert.
Perfect. And let us know, what do you think of season 3, episode 10? Do you think it's a satisfying conclusion? Did it leave you excited for season 4? Let us know either in the comment section down below, or you can hit either one of us up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your continued support. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.